Hey everybody, TBC here. In my last couple of videos, I've given you the lowdown on what to expect from the upcoming EverQuest TLP server, which launches in May, which still doesn't have a name. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 things that I think Daybreak can definitely do to make sure that this server is more of a success. Because right now, and be honest, I'm kind of worried where it could end up. So, part of my 3 suggestions, I want to ensure that these are things that Daybreak can definitely do, bearing in mind they are a small team with limited resources and limited time to get this right. And it is important to get this right, because if they don't attract enough players, this server is dead on arrival, and that affects their bottom line. But they have a vested interest in making sure that this server is as successful as it can be, especially after the disappointment last year of Tormax. So, let's have a look at the 3 things. The very first thing is the unlock cadence. That is how long we're spending primarily in Lucklin. It's far too long. Now, this server is launching in Lucklin, which is EverQuest's 3rd expansion, and it's generally considered when the game came out of the classic experience of Classic, Unark and Velius. And it's actually a fun expansion to leveling, and it's when the raids get a little bit different, a little bit better. They're not all just straight up tank and spanks. So I'm actually fine with a Lucklin launch. We get Beast Lords, different level paths, and a race to SSRA and VT. That's cool. And of course, with a Lucklin start, that also means that we get the Bazaar, which I'm really happy about, because as much as people love the tunnel, I just don't have the time to stand around at the shady trying to sell my wares. I much prefer just to have an offline trader I can just leave in the bazaar, get it all sold and take the plot, right? That's a win for me. What I'm not okay with is 26 weeks plus 12 of being stuck in Lucklin. That's far too long. 36 weeks, that's the better part of a year stuck in Lucklin. You'll still be doing Lucklin coming up to Thanksgiving. Christmas is just around the corner. I'm sorry, but that is way too long to be stuck doing this content. I generally would say 3-4 months, maybe 5 months, depending on how they want to tackle the level locks, which I'll come to in my next point, is more than reasonable. 36 weeks is far too long. It will kill the casual player base because they won't be able to do the more challenging content and they'll get bored. And it will kill your hardcore audience because there's not enough content for them to do and they'll get bored. This needs to be changed, number 1 priority. And also, kind of linked with that first point, is the idea around this level locking. Level lock to 50. So when the server launches, even though it's in Lucklin, you will only be able to get to level 50. And why is this a problem? Actually, many reasons. Obviously, Lucklin is tuned for level 60 for the raids, and while mathematically it might very well be possible to kill all the mobs just throwing sheer numbers at them in open world raids, it's not going to be an awful lot of fun to do that at least more than once. It also is very restrictive right now on your classes and what you can bring to a raid, which actually ties into my 3rd point. So what I would like to see is not the 24 weeks at level 50. No, that's way too long. Again, not only are we in Lucklin too long, we're staying at level 50 way too long. If they're adamant of it being level 50, 2 to 4 weeks at most. What would be better, however, is if they launch at level 51 and at least give us access to alternate abilities, so AAs, and let us farm AAs, because you don't have them unlocked at level 50. Level 50 is also a very short level. I don't see how it would change much by just knocking up to 51 and allowing us to farm AAs and get ready for like level 55 and level 60. The fact that they're not doing this is quite frankly going to hurt the server. At least level 51 will see us, at least for a few weeks, having something to do. And say we're level 51 for 2 to 4 weeks, you then could open it up to level 55. A lot of guilds will not be able to kill the Luckling mobs at level 50. They're going to be too challenging, or they're not going to have the right player base that just wants to raid as monks. And when you start opening up to level 55, your tanks have defensive, which means they're going to be able to survive a round against Emp or against Anten Harad. They're not going to get one shot, which is absolutely going to happen almost every time against those mobs. With defensive, they're going to be able to survive. That means the content is going to be more achievable. More guilds will be able to do it. When guilds are not able to kill mobs over and over and over again, the player base feel like they've wasted their time. Now, some of these raids take hours to complete, and if you're not getting any reward at the end of it, you're not going to keep on doing it. The guild's going to fold and the players are going to quit. There's very little point going back and killing the classic mobs outside of epic pieces, because the rewards from the group game in Luckling are just better. Level 55, I think, for another 4 weeks, and then we go level 60, 8, or even 12 weeks if you really want to, and have that normal unlock period of Luckling. I would be fine with that. That would still give 4 or maybe 5 months of Luckling, which is still an awful long time, but it's not the 24 weeks at level 50 with nothing to do, followed by 12 weeks at level 60 for your 36 weeks. At least this way you can constantly see progression, and you know it's coming, and you can plan, and that will keep you vested to carry on playing and give you reason and to log into the game other than raids, give you reason to farm AA, give you reason to load and level a persona or an ult. Very quick for them to do this. They're already planning on doing it with level 50, so surely it can't be that much harder to add in another time scale and alter a level or two. I would definitely like to see them looking at certainly points 1 and points 2. They will make or break this server. And 3. And for my third point, and this is also very, very important. As it stands right now, at level 50, as a caster, you will not be able to land spells on those level 60, level 65, level 70 raid bosses that they are in Luckling. Some of them are even higher than that. Anything that comes red, you're going to have a hard time landing spells on for the most part, certainly at level 50, because their resists are too high. So you will not be able to raid with casters. It will be a waste of time to bring them. They're not going to be landing any spells. They're not going to be contributing to any DPS. And in these fights, that is crucial. You're going to have to min-max your raid. And what does that mean? You're going to be playing with warriors, clerics, and monks. Maybe a couple of bards. And that's going to be your raid force. That's the only way you will be able to get down these harder Vexor raid targets, for example. So again, you're immediately going to be tuning off a lot of your player base that don't want to play as a monk, that don't want to play as a cleric or as a warrior, because early on, that is the only way you will be able to raid. On Planes of Power, it's all change. But in Luckling, there's no reason to play any other class. If you play as a caster, you are a hindrance to your group or your raid, because you won't be able to contribute to the DPS, so why are you even here? Magicians won't be able to Koth, they won't have it at level 50, so you won't be bringing them. Your Necros won't be able to land any spells, and your Wizards, nope, no point bringing them either. So you're going to be telling your guild members you're playing a monk or you can't come, because I would rather give that raid spot to someone who is a monk and they can contribute. This is easily fixable, and they've already done it. The code already exists, and they need to look at the Verniki server and what they did to make that server viable. They lowered the spell resists that the mobs have so that you could land spells on them, that those checks weren't as tough to beat, and your casters could actually land spells and contribute and do damage. That has to be in the game. If that's in the game, casters are more viable, and you can probably bring some. You're probably still going to be relying heavily on melee, but you will be able to have some casters. They're not just going to be sidelined for melee. Absolutely, they need to ensure that this is applicable at least during Luckling. We won't need it beyond that, but luckily we absolutely will. Forcing players to play classes they don't want to will make them quit, and the guilds will fold because they'll have attrition. Special prize! As a bonus, we like a bonus. What they should also do is lower level requirements of gear, which is again an idea we can borrow from Veniki, but the code already exists. Will allow players reason to go and kill Vulak at level 50, level 55, whatever it may be. And the monk fists that drop from Vulak, for example, have a level requirement of 55. It's going to really suck to have the accomplishment, say, of killing Vulak at a low level, which is going to be a long fight, by the way, because of the amount of hit points he has. It's a long fight at level 60. But say you kill it, you get your Garns, your monk fists, and you can't wear them because level requirement 55. That's going to suck. So they need to do away with those completely. No harm done if they do that to the game. It doesn't really impact live, won't really impact any future TLP. It's a no-brainer to me. Just get rid of that level lock, or at least make it level 46, so you shouldn't be in those zones below that anyway, and it won't really have an impact on any server moving forward. So those are a few of my ideas. I think very, very quickly that they can implement. They have the time, they have the code, and I'm hoping that someone at Daybreak is actually listening to the players who play on TLPs. There's a few of these little tweaks here and there will make the server more viable, and that will keep players around and will make your server a success. As it stands right now, the server will probably be popular for the first few days, first few weeks. Any TLP launch is. I still maintain one of the best fantasy MMO experiences you can have across any game is an EverQuest TLP launch. Very exciting. Doing the raids for the first time, it's a lot of fun. But beyond that, you need to give your players reasons to stick around, knowing that progression is coming isn't 36 weeks away. It's ridiculous. So please, Daybreak, listen to your community. I know your team is small, your time is little, but the player base that we have, pretty dedicated, and you don't want to lose them. You also don't want to turn away say a returning player from back in the day, or maybe a P99 player that wants to try something a little bit different. There's things that they can do, because otherwise players will go elsewhere. We have the hero's journey, we have Co-op, we have P99, we have Monsters and Memories, we even have Pantheon, which is surprisingly doing not terribly. So these are other options for players to play. You need to give them a reason to play EverQuest. You need to give them a reason and a want and desire to play these TLPs. But there are, like I said, some good points to this server. The Luckling launch, I'm happy with that. And that gives us focus effects, which actually are really cool and give a different element to casters. And I'm still mad they took those away from us back in the TLPs of old with classic launches, because it makes casters a little bit more fun to play and gear a little bit differently. And as it stands, even with those, no one's going to be playing casters, so it renders it pointless. And the resource hunter, the varying hot zone every day, that could be interesting. We don't know the extent and how that will work, but it might be interesting. And again, no one's really going to be doing that if there's no reason to log in. So like I said, a few things I think that they can look at and they can do to make sure the server is viable. Let me know in the comments below what you think they could do. Am I on the right track here, or do you have a better idea? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like. Also subscribe to the channel. That will let you know next time I put out a video. I'm gonna have some more content coming out in relation to this server, and also if they do make any changes to the rule set, and to be honest, I think it's an absolute given they will listen to the feedback. The forums have been flooded with people's thoughts and comments about this. So if they've stuck their head in the sand and ignoring it, I think that's going to be very, very foolish. I'm hoping that they'll listen and changes are coming. And if we hear about it, I will let you know as soon as I can. Otherwise, I'm Daybreak, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.